Chucky, here we come. Oh, do 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 do. Chucky, Chucky. Hey, Chucky. Good morning, good boy. Yeah, go ahead and yawn. Bye. Be safe. Are we up? It's not bad sinus. It's itching. Bugs. I need some flea powder. Something else with this. Okay. It's 7 o'clock. Well, here we go again. From winter to spring to summer of about a month. If you don't like it, that's about all you have to do. Just wait a minute.
All that in 1 week.
Okay, we did. Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
Good morning. I'm Lee Barrows.
And I'm Kelly Knapp. Almost. Kelly will be here in a minute. A little chilly waking up this morning.
Yeah, it was.
It's temperature's dropping a little bit. Now it's down to 40 outside in the backyard. It was about 43 on the deck earlier, and it was 42 in here. Now it's down to 40 in the backyard.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a nice 70 in here. Very
Well,
nice.
inside it's nice.
Yeah, very nice. I like that.
Actually, it was 72 when I walked in, so I opened the door for a few minutes and took care of business. So.
Yes.
But anyway, if you've, hopefully this cold snap was a reminder that you should not have planted those maters and other veggies. Don't do it around here until mid-April. In other words, about the time you are subjected to the abuse of the federal government called the Internal Revenue Service, then you can plant your stuff, okay?
Right.
And just consider it. Well, don't do that. That might be illegal. Just a reminder that you should not plant those tomatoes and other veggies before mid-April. If you've already done it this year, maybe you were smart and wrapped up those little plants yesterday. It may have gotten a little colder where you are. Maybe it didn't get quite as cold as everybody thought it was going to be. If not, the nurseries still have some plants for sale out there. And Kelly's over here. You know what? Remember way back in school?
She's had one of those mornings.
It's been a morning already. I'm just going back. I'm going home, going to bed. I can't. It's already starting out this way.
Did she bring it in the house?
Tried to. I fell over something, twisted my ankle, but
Talking to the microphone so we can hear you.
I don't want anybody to hear
There
this.
we go.
The grand dog killed a baby rabbit as I was trying to get ready to come here.
Well,
And I had to prevent her from bringing it in the house because she attempted that.
Well, a landscaping guy recovered 3 baby rabbits out here yesterday. Asked me for a box to put them in so he could take them home.
Well, I got a family of rabbits under my deck. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, which I've had for a while. But, yeah, so she tried to bring it in. I had to go wake up Robin to dispose of this rabbit.
It's a natural thing, you know.
I can see Robin now.
What's Robin going to do about it?
I knew there was trouble when the other dog, Hank, the sweet one, who didn't greet me when I came out of my room. And so I knew something was amiss.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because he didn't even move off the guest bed that he lays on during the day to look out the window. I knew there was something.
I had my basset hound. When I had my basset, he brought a rabbit into the house. And then the cat a couple of years ago brought a rabbit into the house. But the problem is they just dump them.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there watching TV and you see something fly by you and you're like, what was that? You know, so it's usually at midnight. So I have a loose rabbit in the house. I don't want to go pick it up. It's a wild animal, you know. Or I know rabbits are nice, but I usually call my neighbor who I know is up, bring your net, bring your bucket, help me catch this rabbit.
Well, the last time she did it, she brought it and dropped it on the couch, and my daughter freaked out, and it's all kinds of issues. This rabbit was clearly dead. I mean, she killed this poor baby, and it was a baby. It makes it even worse.
No, I think my Basset brought a dead possum into the house one time.
Lord.
And when I saw what was in his mouth and I screamed, he dropped it onto his blanket and he took out the door. And I was like, no, you need to come back.
Clean up your mess.
So I had to just take the whole blanket, wrap the possum in it, and I threw it over the fence until daylight came. I'm like,
we had a little Cocker Spaniel mixed with something else. It was a mutt years and years ago, and she loved to chase rabbits. Her name was Princess. And she chased them. I never knew that she caught one. But one night she took off through the backyard, gone. And a minute later, here she comes traipsing up. And she had picked the rabbit up by the scruff of the neck. Didn't hurt the rabbit in the least. Just a big meaty part back there, the furry part. And brought him up there. And I said, put that rabbit down. And she said, no, you take him. So she handed me this full-grown rabbit. So I'm sitting there with a rabbit in my hand. She said, well, there's your present. Happy birthday.
Heck no.
wow.
So anyway, I took the rabbit and we corralled her, and I took her over to the edge of the woods, which was woods over there, and let her go. She turned around and took off. Didn't take her but a second to be gone.
So Lila's a golden retriever, so she's, quote, retrieving.
Yeah.
Not, but she thinks she is.
Yeah.
She's just bad. She is just bad. So anyway, that's why I now have a twisted ankle. I don't think I'm
You
dirty.
twisted an ankle because of a rabbit?
Trying to fight her from coming in the house. Yes, I tripped over something on the deck and twisted because I'm wearing these clogs, and that was my first mistake right there.
Why do you have the dog?
Every day she leaves them when she goes to work.
I see.
The grand dogs come to the house during the day. They're her
Gotcha.
children, and they are just spoiled.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, so they come to the house.
I understand. Oh, Rayford, I have breaking news for you.
It's hump day.
I have, yes.
No, I don't want any breaking news.
No, this
What's
is
breaking
good news.
What?
Here,
They are repaving Country Club up
I
there.
went out yesterday. Country. Oh yeah, I saw
Where?
the
Between here
in
and
the college area.
in the college
That
area.
area.
hey.
Oh yeah, it's about time.
Oh, I
It was
agree.
smooth driving this morning. And because usually it's like bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. And, you know,
Oh, I was
it
going to warn you too. Commerce Road was
closed last night.
Closed
Yes.
last night.
I
How'd you
put
know?
that on our Facebook.
well. I didn't read Facebook. Come
Yeah,
on.
I put it yesterday morning as a traffic advisory. We went off before I could, so I put it on there.
Okay. Well,
It's open back up, but
I had a meeting last night at 7:00, and I came back my usual way. Then I had to take a little detour on my usual way
what'd you have
around
to go?
behind. I don't know, behind some building there, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I got a gun because this is dark back here. I think somebody set me up to be robbed. Oh, y'all gonna have a problem on your heads. I mean, I was
Yes.
prepared for it. But anyway, they were doing something, one little block there, but blocked the whole thing.
I wanted
Never
to get
worked
out
out
of the
playing.
truck and just dance on it. I was like, hallelujah. Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, you can do that.
It was pleasant.
It is hump day. It is
Yes.
a bit cooler this morning, as we said, and
Yes.
the clouds be all gone, and it's pretty out there.
It's supposed to be sunny today.
Yeah, about 7:30 this morning, we'll be chatting with Dr. Rosemary Stein, our
Right.
weekly visit.
Yes.
She's a pediatrician, and we don't acknowledge her and tell people who she is very much, other than it's Dr. Rose again. But anyway, she's a regular. And has been for many, many years, and we
Yes,
do
she has
appreciate
been.
that. She takes time every Wednesday to talk about medical and other issues that affect young people. She's into that. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's stress at school, or that can manifest itself into being a problem with stress at home and with your schoolwork and everything else, to the homework, to food, what the little kiddies eat and what they don't eat, time they have to go to bed or should be going to bed. And of course, our children and grandchildren being in close quarters every day with other children who, as some of us have called it, working in a petri dish. And today we're going to talk about that a little bit too, because we got some more reports about measles. Another death.
Oh God, let me start scratching now. Oh.
You're scratching because of
I
the
have
measles.
an itch already.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
the
I didn't until you
change of
started
the
scratching.
Seasons, and now you're talking about measles. And I can remember being small, and my brother and I, we always got everything at the same time. And
It used to be, was it back in the day when we all got it, didn't matter about anything else. When we all got the measles, the mumps, chicken pox. Chicken pox was the scratchy one.
I still have some scars.
Oh,
Yeah.
but anyway,
That'll scar you
and
up.
don't you quit scratching. I'm gonna put socks over your hands. That kind of stuff.
And your mother used
That's
a
the one I'm
whole
talking about.
bottle of the
Calamine.
calamine lotion.
Yeah.
And you were pink faced, and yes, I remember that well.
Oh yeah, and but anyway, that I think we were sort of like quarantined for like was it more than a week or was it 2 weeks? Seemed like it was 2 weeks we couldn't go to school. As soon as that first blotches popped up there, oh yeah, you got the measles. And in our household, of course, I had a sister, a little younger, and if I got it, she got it.
Yeah.
And then, so there was one period of time I had the measles one time. She got the measles, and before I could get through with the measles, I had chicken pox. So there was like one solid month at our house that one or the other of us was sick.
I remember the chicken pox very well. We both had it. We were in elementary school. I think we were attending Thompson at the time. I don't really remember the measles.
Oh God, I do.
I know. I'm pretty sure we had it, but I remember the chicken pox well. I remember that well.
The chicken pox had big, boulders or something up there.
Oh yeah. Well, they've had like over 600 cases of measles.
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. And
yes.
Had another death.
Oh no.
Okie dokie. Well, y'all may as well get prepared and start lighting.
Yeah, I dreaded this morning.
I'm going to make everybody mad this morning. Everybody gets mad.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll talk about tariffs here shortly.
I didn't want to say it.
We're going to talk about tariffs. Tariffs equal taxes. Taxes equal costing somebody money. And yeah, probably going to end up costing us, the taxpayers around here, the consumers, money. It's going to cost us. It already has started costing us, just the threat of taxes, of tariffs. So we'll see how that works out. The idea is hopefully to bring other countries in line. And sometimes you've got to get involved in creating some pain before you can make any gain. That's just the way things are. Fire officials aboard Lejeune, Camp Lejeune, along with units from Onslow County, they're still keeping a watchful eye on that fire that started Monday afternoon. By yesterday afternoon, drone footage that they sent up a bunch of drones showed the fire had covered about 500 acres, mostly contained as of yesterday, but still hot spots. Firefighters are concerned that those gusty winds we've been having could regenerate the fire and spread to other areas that haven't had the pleasure of experiencing this fire as yet. In a release, Lejeune officials say they are investigating, but this was not connected with any controlled burns of any kind. None were going on because of the windy conditions. That's smart. And they have determined that no training exercises were conducted in that area since the 4th. It's doubtful that from the 4th through the 7th, was it, on Monday when the fire started?
Yes.
It wasn't yesterday, it's the day before.
Yes.
So anyway, when it started, there had been no training exercises in that area since the 4th. So where it started, how it started is still being investigated. And I hope it's not what all of us always fear when things like that get started and get out of hand.
Yes. And then they hear news stories.
The city of Jacksonville is settled on Attorney John Carter, who retired in December after 7 years in that position. 27 years. My God, that is a lifetime.
Saw who they picked.
A Jacksonville resident, attorney Lorna Welch, has taken over the position. She's got experience in all sorts of areas, a variety, both as a defense attorney, as a prosecutor,
yes,
and as a litigator of any number of cases. Ms. Welch comes with great credentials, and she's married to a dude.
She's married to a district court judge, Christopher Welch.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's
Right here in Onslow County.
That's interesting. So she's now going to take over. She served as an advisor, as a civilian advisor to the judicial folks at Camp Lejeune at one time.
Yeah, she's very intelligent woman.
Apparently.
Very, very. I was like, wow, keeping it
Anyway.
home.
Well, I didn't realize John Carter had been there that long. That's a long time.
Yes.
My God.
Yes.
And I doubt it. I don't know whether somebody like that, they're kind of like contractors, but they're not eligible for retirement.
No,
Government
they still have
retirement.
their own practice. I
Yeah.
remember the meeting because I was watching that meeting where he announced his
That
retirement.
was in December, yeah.
I was like, what?
Fine.
Oh, and when we get time, I have a question I want to ask you about a meeting I watched last night.
Go ahead.
So-
You got
Oh,
time.
okay. I was watching the Swansboro
Okay, time's up.
commissioners, and because I watch them all, and I have a question for both of you, and I want
7.
your opinions. All right. You think
No.
that guns should be allowed on government property, like say at a federal courthouse, like our courthouse here? Do you think that our city and county workers should be able to wear weapons while on the job? Reason why I'm asking is because your Second Amendment gives you the right to carry. And is it your right to carry a weapon on your person? Like if you're going into the courthouse for a trial or you're going to City Hall for a meeting, what are your opinions on that?
No.
You're going to a Board of Education meeting, Rayford. Should you be allowed to wear your gun?
Government workers, some of them can do that. They're called cops.
Mm-hmm.
They're law enforcement officers. I personally still maintain that retired law enforcement officers, they all have the right to carry concealed, right? They can carry
Yes,
their guns anywhere in
yes.
this country. I think that an off-duty officer, someone who has been an officer of the law, should have the right to carry to county commission meetings, to city council meetings, to the Board of Education meetings, perhaps especially the Board of Education. In some places, not here, we're
Rayford.
doing all
Yeah.
right. But in any number of areas, they are trained
Right.
to deal with combat situations in close quarters.
Mhm.
They have the training and the experience. Yeah, other people know.
Are you talking about just civilians? Or are you
Yes,
talking
she's
about
talking
Civilians.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And watching especially how heated even local meetings have gotten.
Yes.
No.
See,
Recipe for disaster right there. People's
I
tempers-
I agree with both
all
of
of
you.
that.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. I found it very interesting that it was on the agenda last night for the Swansboro Commissioner meeting that their local ordinance says that, individuals are not allowed to wear weapons, like at City Hall and certain functions and stuff like that involve governmental issues.
Mhm.
And there was one commissioner, and there was arguments brought up on both sides. Now, I will say that the public comment was, no, we're against it. And there was one commissioner that was very adamant that I'm here protecting your rights, and your right is according to the Second Amendment to carry a weapon, blah, blah, blah. He made some very compelling argument on it, but there are other commissioners, they voted against
Sure.
changing the ordinance, which I'm glad. But I agree with both of you. I feel the same way. There are certain locations, and we don't need guns present.
It's not, I don't care. They can have 50 guns present, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
All of them loaded, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But the people have got to be controlled, not the guns.
Can
Mhm.
you,
And
do
you
you
can't-
ever think
yeah.
about the civil liability a government establishment would have?
First of all, here's the
if a
situation.
citizen walked in and started shooting?
Well, it's not that. Let's just suppose
Something to consider.
I carry a gun for self-protection,
Right.
personal protection. Okay. I'm not the aggressor. I'm not the offender. I'm not the person going out to enforce the law or to protect you or you or you or
Right.
you. I'm here to protect myself and my family. Obviously, when you guys are in here, I'm here to protect you as well.
Thank you for
So
that.
these are my premises. This is where we work, where we live, where I live. But I'm here to do that. That's my right. And that's the way I look at all of that. For me to go to a city council meeting and think I have to go in there to protect myself, they've got protection. They
Mhm.
got police officer there.
Yes.
City council meetings do. County
Right.
commission meetings do. Board of Education meetings do. I am not needed to protect anybody.
I agree.
They are there. They are paid to be there to protect me. Period. Done deal. I don't need to go to the National Night Out packing a hog leg. Okay,
That's
I
right.
don't need it.
That's right.
I got plenty of cops around there. They got
Yeah.
guns. And if
Yes.
they can't get the job done, why do you
Agree.
think I'm going to be able to do
Yeah,
it?
I agree with that.
All I'm going to do in a situation like that is add to the confusion. Even if I were allowed, cops who are not wearing uniforms and are not known to other cops, they will jump up and down before they pull their gun in the midst of a group of cops. Here's my badge. Hey, on the job, I'm a cop, yada, yada, yada. They don't want to get shot by uniformed officers who don't know them when they pull a gun, which they likely would be shot. You
Yeah.
got it? Yeah. So, no.
I'm right there in agreement.
What are your credentials when you go and you pull your gun inside at a city council meeting,
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. Citizen?
some
What
of-
do you expect is going to happen to you? at
You've
that
got
point
somebody
in time?
standing up there
You're
in
gonna get
public
shot.
comment and they're wearing a gun. And what are you going to do with they
It's
just kind of rest their hand?
First of
on
all,
their gun.
it's intimidating and it's not supposed to be.
Well,
Thank
not
you.
only that, people get up there, and I'm going with the public first, and then we'll go into members sometimes. Members often get upset with, in the meetings. We've seen videos of whatever
Idiots.
county it was fighting each other.
Yes.
Pink Hill, Duplin County.
Pink Hill and
Uh-huh.
Duplin County. Yes.
Yes.
That's when I was thinking. I couldn't remember
I
what
knew
it
I
was.
could
Yeah.
tell.
I mean, it's not just the citizens. It's
Nope.
some of the elections
that's
as
where
well.
the mayor got mad,
Yeah.
got up and walked out of the
Yeah,
meeting.
and then they had a fist fight. I mean,
Yes.
stuff happens.
I
And
remember
no, I do not think because tempers flare, people do a lot of
Yeah, they
things
do.
on the spur of the moment. So absolutely not. There's enough,
Mhm.
but definitely not at that as heated. But a lot of times they come in there for an agenda. Look at what would have happened had this been a thing, even at our previous Board of Education meeting, people acting
Yes.
a fool. I mean, come on
Yes.
now. Even in the parking lot.
Let me
Oh,
give you the
yes.
greatest
Yeah.
example in the world. We talked about him yesterday. He's a boat captain.
Oh, that.
Or
yes.
maybe he isn't now,
Thank
but he
you.
was a boat
Yes.
captain.
Correct.
Let's just suppose this guy had a
Mhm.
beef at city council.
Point. Yes.
Would you have trusted him
Mhm.
No, I got
with
it.
a gun?
left.
I wouldn't have
got
trusted him with a slingshot.
Yeah,
Or I
I
wouldn't have
agree.
trusted him with a Nerf ball gun.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
So,
That's done.
yeah.
The
So I'm
answer is
glad.
no.
No,
Yeah, I
definitely
agree
not.
100%.
After
I
lengthy
will say
explanation.
that the
Good for
arguments
the
were,
commissioners at
I'm glad that Swansboro
Swansboro.
did
Yeah.
the right thing.
yes,
So
it was very compelling on both sides
It's
listening
easy-
to the arguments.
It's easy to just say no, but as we talked about here, let's discuss it. And
Right.
the bottom line is going to be no.
Well, I'll tell you real quick. Kelly was watching this channel as I was watching Saturday night. It's a storm chaser. He's a meteorologist. His name is Reed Timmer. Goes right into tornadoes. Crazy. But him and his crew had stopped after the chase was over for the night. They had stopped at a waffle shop and gone in to eat. Well, they had parked their truck, which looks like a tank, across the street from the Waffle House into a public type. It was a big parking lot. Well, next thing I know, some man comes in yelling at them, saying that they had run down his fence. And the whole time he's yelling and making argument with them, he's got his hand on the barrel of his gun, on the handle of his gun. Now, how would you feel? I'd be very intimidated.
Well, he's the one that came in, put the fool on.
Yes.
Well, you cannot control that, unfortunately.
Right.
The owners of the place could request that he leave. immediately.
Well, I understand that, but just the intimidation.
And if I was a cop on the inside, off duty or whatever,
right,
in uniform or not, if I saw him and he was in there raising that much cane, and then he's got his and he puts his hand on the butt of his gun,
right.
I know he and I would have a discussion.
Well, I would find
outside.
it very intimidating. They did pull the camera film and show that they had nothing to do with any of it, you know. But that's what worries me. People wearing open carry and they have a temper like the boat captain, and they're standing in front of you and they're yelling and cussing at you, and their hand is resting on their butt of their gun. I would be very intimidated.
We still have this right, and I do not agree with giving up any rights under the Constitution like that. I agree. But there are elements in the enforcement that does not mean you can carry anywhere. It's kind of like the guys who, let's just say, and we can discuss that again too, what they call frauditors. People who go into and demand, I'm going in, this is a public building, a business paid for by me. I'm a taxpayer. I have the right to be in here, and I have the right to have my camera in and shoot. No, you do not.
Right.
No, you do not. It might be paid for by taxpayers' dollars, but the taxpayers, we've entrusted the individuals that we hire. We hire them. We pay for their salaries. We entrust them to maintain dignity in our city hall, for instance. I go in there and have some business to deal with. I go into the health department. It's a public building.
Right.
And with business that I have to deal with. They do not have a right to film me, shoot me, take my pictures or anything else while I'm in there doing this work. Right?
But these frauditors will argue you're in a public place.
And they always get beat down.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. And I like it when other civilians just whomp them one time every now and then.
I'm telling you, you watch John Legato's videos.
Yeah, y'all need to pick that up because John's he's picking up a lot of video from around the country. The idiots.
Grief.
It could be the idiot report. He's got a never-ending supply of material. I'll put it to you that way.
It gets your blood pressure up.
Got a day or two that you might be able to slip offshore if you have the right experience and the right boat, that is, to take advantage of the bonito bite.
Okay.
That's a fish, y'all. Some mighty fine fish are being caught within just a mile or two of land. I've had some reports of Spanish mackerel, some of them mixed in with those bonita, being picked up within a few miles of our shoreline. The water temperature probably dropped just a little bit near the surf because of the cool day or two we've had, but it'll pop right back up in here. It doesn't take very long. Offshore, out to 20 nautical miles today, northeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots with a gust up to 25 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet. 2 to 4 near shore, 4-foot waves from the northeast every 4 seconds. Kind of big and choppy. It's going to make it sloppy out there, but if you got the right boat and the experience, if you're driving the Queen Mary and you have no experience, you're a danger to your others. Sounds and rivers choppy. Easterly winds tomorrow 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet every 7 seconds. Sounds and rivers, moderate chop. And on Friday, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet every 7 seconds. Sounds and rivers, a moderate chop.
Today it'll be sunny with a high of 64. Winds out of the east 7 to 13 mile an hour with 17 mile an hour gusts. Tonight clear, very chilly, low of 43. Tomorrow mostly sunny, high of 72. Tomorrow night partly cloudy, low of 57 with a 50% chance of rain. And on Friday, chance of showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 70, up to a half an inch of rain as possible. And then Friday night, it'll be cloudy, a low of 48.
Octavio, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, Dotel, Dotel.
Go with that.
A World Series champion pitcher and former Major League Tony LeBlanco, among those who died following the collapse of a roof at a Dominican Republic nightclub a couple of nights ago. Dotel was a native of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. That's the capital there. And was inside the Jet Set nightclub early Tuesday. That's late Monday night when the roof fell. The confirmed death toll. Did you read this? 58 so far as of late yesterday afternoon. earlier, officials had said there were at least another 160 people hurt.
Are they still digging out?
I'm
from
sure
the
that they
rubble?
are, because did you see the pictures of that place?
Yes,
That
I did. It
it's
looked like a bomb.
what in the world? No winds. I mean, was this a multi-story place with people up top and maybe it overloaded? I don't know. Maybe Dr. Rose will have a little bit more story about this. Apparently, it was a very popular place called the Jet Set nightclub.
Yeah, it was terrible. Terrible.
Got 58 people.
It's a lot of people.
That's
One's
pretty-
too many, but that was crazy.
They were up in Spotsylvania County yesterday. That's a suburb. It's about 60 miles outside of D.C. 3 people shot and killed. Another 3 were injured. Don't know much in the way of details on it.
2 of them were children. That were injured. I watched that video. I watched live from the scene last night, and some Ring doorbells were able to pick up 2 individuals in the parking lot that were wearing hoodies. It's so funny. It's not funny, but it's so crazy related. That they covered their face entirely, all their body, but their hands were not covered.
Well, that just shows you what color they are. But
yes, but I mean, they went to such extent to cover everything else.
Well, they're not identifiable by their hands.
I know that,
look like
but I'm trying to say
is a tattoo on your hands. You can identify.
It does give credence as to what race they are.
Sure.
So. And they had the helicopters out there. I watched Flight Radar last night. The helicopters out there looking for these 2 men. And a lot of speculation, in which I'm not even going to talk about because, let the cops do that. But
way too early.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, waiting here. Dr. Rosemary Stein should be ringing us up any moment now. So I don't want to get into a whole lot of anything. I'm going to talk about a survey, a poll that most recent report from a company called Rasmussen. It's run by a dude named Scott Rasmussen.
I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I interviewed him about 10 or 12 years ago on here. We had him on one morning and just talk about their how they do polls. Rasmussen is one of the legitimate pollsters out there. If they have any leanings one way or the other, it hasn't shown up in the polls that I've read and in the questions, because I have a chance to go back, and everybody you do too when you look at polls, and ask for the questions. How are the questions phrased? If you ever want to look at a poll, don't just stop at the numbers. Ask how the questions, just read the questions exactly. Isn't it true, sir, that you feel that is not a good way to start a question for a poll?
Right. Right.
Dr. Rosemary Stein, good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. I hope you all are.
It's our favorite concierge.
Yeah, our concierge doctor.
Yes, our favorite.
Yeah. From the Dominican Republic originally. You've got ties there, you got relatives there, you got all sorts of folks down there. I'm sure you heard about a story we just read about a place called the Jet Set nightclub.
I think I used to frequent there when I was a teenager.
Oh.
So it's been around for a while.
Yeah, I'm glad you were not.
In a new location, but I do remember that place, and it was a nice place to have like local and international people come and play music.
Yeah, well,
so it is a place that is in my memory.
Well,
and it's a terrible tragedy.
Yeah, it's closed, of course. The roof fell in, and
I know.
I can't.
And at first,
58
I thought
dead.
it was like the roof top, like they were at the top, and maybe the roof had fallen, and they were on the ground. I think it was on the ground floor, so it was unforeseen.
Yeah,
and terrible, terrible tragedy.
So yeah, it's an awful thing. I hope you didn't have anybody in there, no relatives or friends that you knew of.
No, not yet. Hannah knows people who are looking or who were looking for people. Yes, as of yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, your daughter's still down. Your daughter's down in that neck of the woods. So.
yeah. So it hit a little close to home. Plus, knowing the place when when I was quite young and young adult
Yeah.
was kind of it was disturbing.
A couple of world famous baseball players as well. A World Series champion pitcher. So it's they were killed. Wow. What a
it's
tragedy.
terrible.
Such an area. So, okay, another tragedy too out in West Texas. Second child died. This ongoing measles outbreak in West Texas and surrounding areas too. It's an 8-year-old girl in Lubbock succumbed to the measles-related pulmonary failure. We were talking about it early this morning about measles and things. I don't recall having issues breathing with the measles. Is that something new, or is that a byproduct or a symptom, or what?
I in the same place as you. When I read that, I said, okay, so how is that happening? Because measles is a pretty bad disease. It makes you really sick. It can give you consequences, sequela down the line, but not right then and there, like it appears to be happening right now. So I'm at a loss of how it is that some kids are dying from it.
Yeah.
But it really alerts us to the fact that the disease that we just sort of just discarded, thinking, oh, we don't have to worry about this anymore, is back right in front of us again. And yes, Texas is kind of far away from North Carolina, and two children. When we have millions and millions of children, isn't a big number, but it's still something that should give us caution and should make us look back on, okay, what is it that we're doing? Should we reconsider this whole immunization thing? If we haven't immunized, should we do it thoughtfully? But I think really what needs to be happening is go and if possible, do these autopsies and figure out what happened to this kid's lungs. That he would die of pulmonary failure. Is it pneumonia? I do know that there's a post measles pneumonia that you can get.
Oh,
so
really?
Is that what they meant by pulmonary failure? But no, but you can get encephalitis. You can get kind of a viral pneumonia, and that might be what they're saying. I haven't taken the time to read the medical aspect of it, but it is concerning. And if this child had no underlying medical conditions, and the child died of post measles syndrome, it is concerning. It's something to look at, and for us to consider, collectively, is what do we do about this as a country and as a medical society?
I've read and have experienced others in the family and friends who have had serious issues with, the pneumonia when they're bedridden for a while, trying to recover. I don't know. Sometimes staying in bed because you're sick is not the answer all to everything out there, because other things can happen too, right?
That's true, and that applies most of all to older adults.
Yes.
You let things just sort of lay there, it's not going to circulate, and you're not going to get better, and so you have to sort of push yourself, not to the extent of exhaustion, but when you're sick and you're recuperating, you do have to push yourself to get up, try to be active, to walk around some, do those things that you don't feel that you want to do. But it's very unusual in children, because children just bounce back.
Yeah.
And that's what makes my job easier, is that children are more prone to bouncing back than any other age group.
I studied when we're in advanced diving courses that I've taken, and in general, just follow-up studying on my own. We use normal human beings, of which I am not one. Normal human beings use a very small percentage of their lung capacity. In other words, there is always stale air, stale stuff in your lungs that you are not circulating. If you get out and you're running and you're exercising, you're doing this because you're using more of your lung capacity, and therefore you're able to have more lung capacity. But if you don't, if you just are sedentary, if you just lie around and you don't do anything, a small percentage or a significant percentage of your lungs are filled with old air, which I guess they're saying is bad for you.
That's absolutely true. That your lung capacity decreases the less active that you are.
Wow.
So that's why it's good to have activity as your part of your normal lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's brisk walking, that will help to circulate that air. And yes, that can lead to many diseases. One, pneumonia, even, along coupled with other things, you can have COPD and asthma restriction. But the thing about it is that when we get older, we sort of tend to say, well, these bones are creaking, I don't need to move. And that's not so. That's when you really need to make sure that you make the effort to not run a marathon, but yes, stay active and walk briskly and take the time for exercising.
This measles thing, let's see, there are 2 kids who died in the Texas area, both not vaccinated against measles. I thought that was just I guess that is a thing. They were in the local Mennonite community, and so far there have been 535 cases total in West Texas and eastern New Mexico. 607 total cases reported this year, but 90% of those are in eastern New Mexico and West Texas. 97% of those who have contracted measles confirmed unvaccinated patients.
Wow.
That should tell somebody something. If you have any brains at all with math, 97% of the people diagnosed with measles were not vaccinated.
Well, if those numbers are correct, what it's also telling us is that the measles vaccine is effective.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I think that's very important for us to realize. It's not just to scare ourselves, but to say, the measles vaccine is doing its job.
Yeah.
And if anybody had a concern about that, they're just injecting saline water or something, something else into us. No, that vaccine appears to be effective. For if what they're telling us is correct, then that vaccine is working and it's doing its job, and we should consider that we should have respect for that vaccine.
All right.
Well, my vaccine wore off, so I don't have any immunity to it, and I've been blood tested to confirm that.
Well, go get another shot.
I can't now.
Well, I can give you one.
Actually, there's more than just the immunity that you can check. You probably have some immunity if you had the vaccine, unless you got a bad batch. Now, in my case, I contracted.
What?
I contracted the measles when I was 20 from a child that had the measles in the hospital and was not vaccinated. So I'm sure that even if they check my blood and they say that I don't have any immunity, I would look at them and laugh because I know that I did. It was one of the sickest times I've ever been. I felt terrible. And said, no, you do not want this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said the adult onset of pretty much all childhood diseases, when you don't get it until you're an adult, you really suffer, or maybe we just complain more.
Well, I believe that to be true, but because at 20 I contracted the mumps, because that vaccine is measles, mumps, and rubella. So I got the mumps at 20. I got it in Japan teaching. So, and I'm gonna tell you, that mumps was no joke. That was awful.
I had it as a kid on one side.
Well, I had it tore me down. But when you get older, they say it affects you more.
Yeah, that's what
so that would make sense about that vaccine. But I think maybe I got a bad batch, Dr. Rose. But
yeah, it might have been in the same times. I would, if I remember correctly, like early 70s when I got my second vaccine for the MMR, and all I could think of was, wow, I must have gotten a bad batch because this didn't give me any immunity. I was as sick as a dog.
It was terrible.
Okay.
I was born in '69, so I don't know back then what age you got them. I know I have them because I got a shot record that says I got them. Well, they didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You were
vaccines
born a month after
aren't
Candy was.
fail-safe. Sometimes they don't work.
3
But
weeks.
overall, if we're vaccinating our children, we're conferring them some immunity, and that's important. And one vaccine doesn't necessarily just work on one disease in the sense that your body starts to recognize viruses and bacteria, and so you're stimulating your immune system, and it may recognize some other pathogens, some other diseases that are similar to the vaccine that you're being immunized with. So it's not like this linear thing, in my mind, the way that I look at it, because viruses and bacteria can look similar. And because of that, the body can recognize something and say, oh, this is similar. And you might get the disease, but it might not be as severe because your body recognizes it.
Yeah, and you don't have to touch people that have measles. This thing is airborne. The symptoms, they say, rashes, fever, and respiratory issues. Now, here goes Lee's itching again.
Dr. Rose, I got a question for you. Can a mask prevent you from getting the measles?
If I remember correctly, that is a very small virus. I am not sure. I mean, it can protect you somewhat. If they're going to cough in your face, that's, it might protect you from that.
Keeps the water out.
But I wouldn't want to wear a mask in a room full of people with the measles because you may get it.
Well, I've got to go to a conference next week. That's why I'm asking. I got to get on a plane.
Is it in Texas?
No, it's in Tennessee. I'm like saying, should I just
You need to worry more about the floods than measles.
Yeah, I got to go to Nashville to a conference. I'll leave on Easter Sunday, matter of fact.
Well, the floods will drown out the measals.
Do I wear a mask?
I think I wouldn't, because if you're coming down with something, you're just recirculating your own.
Okay.
I would really stimulate my immune system and make sure there's those drinks and gummies that have vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, echinacea. I would definitely take those. Make sure you get some sunshine and the 8 days before. Make sure you keep yourself active, plenty of fluids. I think that's what I would do. I don't want you to worry about the measles while you're going to Tennessee.
Oh, I'm already panicked about it. Like I'm about to, have a panic attack over this because because people will go. Like if I was actively sick, I would not go to a conference. But I have been in conferences where you can see people sick, and I'm like, why are you here? Like it's sad.
That happens so much, and you're next to them, and you're like, I want another seat.
Yeah. I will get up and move now. I have no qualms about doing it. And I will tell people, don't cough or what. But if I hear a cough, I'll get up and leave the room. I just will. I'm just going to tell everybody that now.
She will.
Get up and leave.
Don't make yourself sick.
So, no. Okay.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is that 5 days before or more, then just start doing those things to strengthen your immune system, because your immune system is like a muscle and it has memory. And so if you stimulate it, you'll get all of that immunity that your body has created up until now to circulate and to help you out.
I will start today. Thank you very much.
Well, I still cough because I got this pollen crap in there, and it won't go away.
This pollen's brutal.
It is awful.
And I am happy to say I'm fine. So when Rayford starts talking about,
she's over here scratching, Dr. Rose. You should see her. She's about to make me itch.
She's got the measles, chicken pox, and mumps all rolled into one right now.
Every scratching.
I'm glad I got a barrier between the two of us.
Knock on wood.
I got Kelly here that catches all the stuff coming from me.
Trust me.
Kelly catches it.
I'm like the sponge of the group.
Rayford and I stay well. We just let Kelly take care of it for us.
Yep.
Dr. Rose, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
You're
Dr.
very
Rose.
welcome. You guys just light up the morning.
Yeah, well, I hope everything's okay down there in the DR with that. I hope none of yours are involved in that tragic situation there. That's
The death toll's risen. I just looked it up.
What's it?
113 now.
Wow.
113
Oh
dead?
my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the
It's
governor,
terrible.
it says governor. I don't know what that means. It says the governor.
It's the governor of one of the provinces.
Okay.
In there. Yes.
Okay.
Kind of like the big mayor.
Like a giant man. Okay. Got it.
All right.
Very
Thank you,
sad.
Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
You're very welcome.
See-
You guys have a good
Yeah,
week.
You
see you
too.
next week. Yeah, that's a tragic situation there in Santo Domingo, the capital of the DR, Dominican
Horrible.
Republic.
And they say this
100
was like a
people dead.
fancy place. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read about it. This wasn't some
Yeah,
like
it's not a
little
dive.
cheapo dive place. Like
No.
it was fancy.
This
Like
is-
all the elite and the
That's right.
money people, and a lot of people went there.
Yeah.
And I saw the picture. I don't know how many stories this building
I don't
was,
know either.
but
Can't tell.
you know how they put like air conditions on the roofs?
They-
They would collapse
yeah.
down into the. because I was like, how do all these
This
people
is
get
like
killed?
a 911 episode
Yes.
that I watched.
Yes.
When they were
Mhm,
had the wedding
Mhm.
and they're on the second floor and they were dancing and the floor gave way.
mhm. Speaking of that, I was watching a video, or might have been the news yesterday. Mama had it on. That's all she ever watches. These pallbearers. Did you see that?
Oh, I
They were
knew.
carrying the casket at a funeral, and they fell
They were in the
into.
cemetery.
They were in the cemetery. They had the I guess they put the casket on this platform thing.
The roller, yeah.
The whole
Yes.
thing collapsed, and they all fell down into the grave.
And
Pallbearers,
one
casket.
of the pallbearers fell underneath
Yeah.
the coffin, the casket, and the other
There's a sign
pallbearers
there, y'all.
fell on top of it.
And they had injuries.
Oh,
Did you see that?
Yeah.
I was going to send you that the other
Oh, I
night 'cause
saw
I'm
it.
like
I was
going,
like-
another thing that I fear when I
Fear,
go to
yes.
a funeral.
Yes, it was.
oh my God.
It
You know,
was bad.
We talked
Yeah.
about going up to open caskets in when you go
Yeah.
for the viewing,
Yeah,
and I'm always so fearful when I go up there. You're going to see a twitch or something,
same.
and then I've always had that thought: what if somebody dropped it, like when they're getting ready to put it on the rollers?
Mhm.
But they said the plywood was real weak and wet, and as soon as they went,
it
Plywood,
collapsed.
what kind of plywood?
They had
They
some
had
kind of plywood down.
some kind of
You could see
plywood
it.
around it or whatever, and they all stepped on it. It all
It's like they
crumbled.
built.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know.
It's like they
See
built
that.
like a little deck.
So they can
Yes.
roll. It won't roll over the grass real easy. If it's loose
Well,
dirt.
Well, they just
all I
built
can
it
tell you-
over the hole where the casket goes,
Oh,
Yes,
and they were
they were
stepped up
carrying it.
and they were carrying the
well,
casket.
how did they? That's normally done. Where was this?
Oh, I
How
forget.
backwards-
Hold on, I can tell you.
backwards was
it
this place?
Nebraska?
They were carrying the casket to set it on the rack.
Yeah.
That's there. So you
That
have
goes
your
down.
ceremony, and then when everybody leaves, that goes down.
Philadelphia,
Yeah, I thought it was
North
Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia.
Really?
There's a video of it that showed the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah, I saw that
Um,
video. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
The
I
burial
remember-
site collapsed and all the men plunged into the hole. Yeah.
Oh, so it collapsed probably from around it. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the whole
It
thing,
wa-
casket fell, men fell. And it said all of them, it says the men who plunged all suffered injuries, mostly to their legs, hands, and back.
Could you imagine be standing there when
And you
that
could hear
happened?
the screams in the video of the people.
I'm going to assume if it was a wake afterwards, there was a lot of alcohol involved.
broken. Well, they had to go to the hospital. They had to
That's
call
what I mean.
EMS. And I mean,
Well, there
and-
was one video I was going to send that one plus
Mhm.
another one to you where
That's awful.
this
Raven, you should watch the video.
I
It
don't
is
want
like
to.
the most disturbing thing I've seen in a while. And you hear the screams of the people that were at the funeral. And these pallbearers were not
was
like
shooting video of
small
the funeral?
guys.
people,
I don't know.
it's a thing now. It's a thing.
I never knew that, but
It's
I'm
a
watching
thing.
it right now. It's right here. They just collapsed. And these men were bigger. I mean, they weren't like, little skinny minis here. They all fell down in there.
Well, there was one came out the same day of a family that was having a funeral, and it was a homecoming, is what they call it, and they were out in their yard, and the pallbearers were all had the casket on their shoulders. So each person with the casket was resting on their right shoulder, and they're kind of like marching along as they're doing the gospel.
I've seen them
and
do that
stuff.
in Louisiana.
Well, one of them kind of lost his balance, and they all went down, and the casket came down and it opened. And need I say more?
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh,
And I'm
see,
like,
that didn't
what?
happen in this one, but that would be a
What is
big
going
fear.
on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all over
I've been
here.
a pallbearer at
Y'all need to put
any
padlocks
number,
on
in
mine.
any number.
Put padlocks on mine.
in any number of,
Yes.
of funerals, but
Mhm.
I can't recall not one time that anything of any consequence happened. Now, do not get me wrong.
It
It
happens.
went through my mind. We
Mhm.
got 6 of us here,
Mm-hmm.
and some of y'all don't look quite as strong as I am. I'm concerned about you, and because if one drops it, we might be okay. But if 2 collapse, that's 1/3 of them. And
Okay.
then what's going to happen?
It appears to me on this,
We need strong people to be pallbearers.
it's like they made they covered the hole with boards.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then when they stepped up there to put the casket on there,
They stepped
the
on.
whole thing just fell in.
Yeah.
Boards broke, the whole 9 yards.
I like the family.
Yeah.
They said we
Mhm.
feel like they should reimburse us for what we spent on this
The families feel like they use
viewing.
like
this funeral
Yeah,
cost
like-
because
So that
cheap
was that was
materials.
their concern. They want
well,
their money
I
back.
think they were
want a refund.
traumatized.
well, yeah,
The
I
casket went
I
all.
want my money plus more.
They want a refund. That's the first thing they're thinking about.
Well, I mean, that was one of the
Seriously.
statements. Well, look, I have a friend here in Jacksonville whose mother passed away, and they had to delay the burial because they had to order that big sleeve that goes down into the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
I forget what they call it, but it's like a sleeve that goes
It's a
down,
barrier.
and it's
I don't
what
know what they call it.
it stays in the ground. I can't remember
That's
what
to
it's
keep
called
the
either.
thing from collapsing.
Yes.
Maybe.
And so they said that it'll be a couple days. I mean, it got to the point where it was ready for the burial. They were like, oh, well, we can't do it right away because we had to order the thing.
You don't have
And-
that stuff on hand. I mean, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, you do. But
Okay.
I don't
But
know. I don't know
anyway.
when it was. If it was during the COVID stuff, it's a distinct possibility with a number
was
of deaths.
a couple years ago. It was
Okay.
not during the COVID stuff. I know that for a fact. So anyway, they said we'll give you a call when it comes in, and we'll arrange a time. She just happened to have a family member that was driving by the park, the burial park, that noticed that where her relative was supposed to be buried, stopped, and they were actually burying the mother, had never contacted the family. True
I'd be on the
story.
news. I'm gonna
And
tell y'all now.
that would-
I would be
Y'all
on the news.
I'll tell you
That would
later.
have been a problem.
I'll
I
tell
would
you
have
later
been on
who
the
it
news.
was, and you'll be like, huh?
Around here?
It happened right here, Swansboro.
Really?
Y'all would have seen me on the news. I'd have made.
Yes.
I'd have made them all.
I don't
Oh
know
my.
what came out of it. There was talk of
Happens
taking
around you. The
action.
first thing I'm going to say, give me your purse. I want your gun.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't trust you.
I'll
with
tell you what.
I
I'm gonna
mean,
take that machete.
It was like, well,
Machete's even worse.
hearsay, I know, but this person told me that the funeral home said, well, we had so many that are on top that we have to do, so we went ahead and buried
That's
her.
not how that works.
I'm like,
I would
oh,
own that funeral home.
don't you know?
Don't think I'd want it.
He was not good.
Well, Lee, let me ask you about this tariff thing, and what I'm asking about.
All right.
Tom Tillis, I don't know what's gotten into him, but I think I'm impressed. I'm not sure yet because he seems to be skeptical about this. His quote, did you hear his quote?
No.
I'm impressed.
No, you go ahead. I have
I'm
not.
going to read it. Okay, let me read it right now. I'm going to get the whole thing accurate.
Right.
If you own, okay, so he is not sure honestly, he's kind of going against President Trump. He's like, I'm not sure about this whole he calls it the alla prima or all at once strategy. He says he's seen it fail in business in the past, and he's not sure this is how this needs to be go. So here's a direct quote. I'm waiting to see if it'll be successful, but it seems to me we've decided to begin a trade war on all fronts. He says, I want to know if the person who thought this through has an answer for why you go after partners that we have a very long storied relationship with. Maybe we give some developing companies a break because we're trying to get their economies functioning, making look to the West rather than Chinese investment. Here's the best part I like. He said, if you own this decision, then I'll look to you to figure out if we're going to be successful. If you don't own the decision, I'm just trying to figure out whose throat I need to choke if it's wrong. I'm like, go, Tom, tell us.
Yeah.
Because I say that a lot to people, but I mean,
he has a way.
I mean, but and I don't know what kind of pushback he'll get from his fellow Republicans.
A lot.
But I see his point. I do. I mean, he's like, we might want to just, slow our roll
They'll
down
be
a little
censoring them. They'll be
I will be.
censoring them.
It would be nice with the whole tariff deal to have a full explanation. We, the common people out there, that's all of us, the commoners, we don't have inside information about how this whole thing is supposed to work.
Exactly.
If we had all of the information and what the end game is supposed to be, I think I know.
Exactly.
But the thing is, I'm having to wait just like everybody else. I'm trying not to rush to judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But
is that not
yes,
what
are there concerns? Yes, I have concerns. Everybody should have concerns. But I don't, if I knew how it was going to be or is being implemented, yes, I am of the opinion, and again, it's mine. I don't have anything else to base it on except that I am of the opinion, based upon how I would do things, if I could do things, yes, I can use threats to get something done that I want to get done. Back in a former life, that's what I used to do. Yep, that's the way it was. Sometimes I call it promises today. I will use promises that if you do not do what I want you to do, then our relationship is severed. This is done. We're over. Or you're going to have to, in this case, pay the preacher. All right?
right?
I know that's the way people work. They work it in businesses. They work it in their personal relationships. Hello. Can I say that to both of you? Yes. To me, yes. We know how we use pressure, let's just call it that, to achieve what we think is the right choice for us. This is on steroids. Whatever's happening up there in DC with this administration is on steroids. If they would come down and explain it to me so that me, the little commoner, would understand it, then I would be able to agree or disagree with it. Right now, I can't agree or disagree with anything that's going on because I don't have the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm suspicious. I'm concerned. I'm not suspicious. I'm concerned.
That's exactly what we were talking this morning before we went on air. And I said, I have concerns, kind of worried, but I don't know enough about tariffs to be technical.
It's not just
I don't
about
know
tariffs,
what
about
they know.
Their plans are. What are the plans?
I don't know what they know that we don't know. There's just so much to it.
There are certain things like if I'm getting ready to go to war, I'm not going to, as the president, I'm not going to divulge what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to tell you, my enemy, that I'm getting ready to sneak around to your back door and come in through it and kill you.
Exactly. I'm just going to.
Those are different things.
I wonder if some of this is like, a business strategy in terms of that seems to be already starting to take effect where the countries would say, okay, let's wheel and deal now. I don't know if I think this is the best way to go about it, but it seems to me that when I saw something yesterday on my mother's newscast that, Lord, y'all just don't even know. I'm trying to watch Family Feud, but
well, you are every day.
I'm telling you, where they're talking about all of a sudden countries, businesses of countries or whatever are trying to say, okay, Mr. Trump, let's meet and iron out something. Maybe that's his ploy. I don't know.
Of course, that's what I'm talking about. That's pressure. That's a pressure play.
And it's working. for some of
But
them.
they're not telling us this is how we're doing
Right.
it.
So all they're
They
doing is
should.
scaring the public. I agree. All they're
Okay,
doing
now
is
here's the other part. Okay, so it's a bunch of tariffs that they're placing on things like that that's coming into the country. So we just don't buy. We, the consumers, will not pay this extra money for this stuff that's coming out of China. Yes, you are. Why do I say that? Because they manufacture all the freaking chips.
Yeah,
They
for your
manufacture
vehicle.
all the crap that we have to put into that our manufacturers in this
And
country
whose
that all the as ours. It's all they manufacture all the stuff that is required to be put into the automobiles that we're making in this country, and we're not making
Same
it
with them.
ourselves.
Mhm.
So therefore, those prices are going to go up, and therefore, our prices for that thing that we're going to buy from an American company is going to go up. Now, how long will it go up, and how much will it go up, and how much will it affect us or impact us? Here's the problem: there are going to be those companies,
Right.
American companies, are going to say, "Oh, we got to raise the prices because there's a tariff on that chip that we're in, that $5 chip that they're going to have to. We're going to have to pay instead of $5, we got to pay $5 and whatever 25% on $5 is. We got to pay an extra $1.25. Okay, we got to have to pay $6.25 for it, but we're going to charge you $25. That is the way I'm afraid that it's going to work if we, the government being we, does not take a look-see at these prices, and just like they use gouging during hurricanes, companies will take advantage of
Yes, they
us
will.
Yeah.
in times of need.
Case of water
They
is $25.
don't care. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
Not just, I don't care. I'm not going to buy that Chinese made product that I can get in the United States. Even if I pay for more for it in the US, I'm not going to buy it from China. Okay. I'd rather pay for it here. Should
I
have been
would
doing
too
that all along.
if it's available.
That's
if you
what
can
I'm saying.
get
But
it.
the parts that are not available,
Right. Well, Kelly and I both had new GMCs, and it was a year ago, 2 years ago, and we both got notices like, oh, the chip for your vehicle is in,
Yeah.
which
Uh-huh.
when I bought mine, I didn't know it was missing
I
a
didn't
chip,
either. Yeah.
and then, and it was, I mean, our vehicle still operated,
Mhm.
but this was for little extra stuff.
what I'm
that
afraid
was-
of, they're going to charge me
the
more.
perks
They're
chip.
going to charge me more for the
Yeah,
chocolate
I like
chips that
that.
come in
Yeah,
my cookies.
Chip.
That's going to make me mad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Kelly. I think we need to go to the dollar store and stock up on flip flops and anything else
yeah.
we might need to get through the summer.
You mean Chinese made stuff?
Hey, right now they're $1.
That's going to be per ounce soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just I am not going to commit myself either way
No,
on
I
this.
can't.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, and I don't know what their plans are. I guess I'm with Rayford. If they would just tell us
Just lay it
what's
out
happening.
here for
We're
me.
not dumb.
Tell
Just,
Miss Caroline Levitt Luba Laka Waka
Yeah.
to tell me,
Yeah.
lay it out there on a white board.
Well, I'm
Put
sure
it
we
up there
probably
right on a
have
big screen behind you and lay it out
I'm
so
sure
that
we
I can
probably have
understand it.
Theo could probably explain it
No,
all
they
to
can
us.
No,
explain
because
their
Phil's
version
going
of
to
it.
put his version. I just want
I wanna know.
what is the plan?
That's the
Nobody's
whole point I'm
version,
making.
the plan.
Nobody really.
I want to know it from the
know.
horse's mouth, not from a jackass.
Oh,
I'm not talking about Theo.
oh,
I'm-
good.
Now,
we-
he
we-
just
we
means
got
in
pl-
general.
We got plenty
Yes.
of jackasses out there trying to explain it.
Yeah.
I don't
it's,
care about that.
Need the administration to come out. This is what we're doing, because now you got even senators saying, "Well, I'm not sure about this," and and I agree. And
And he's a good old working boy. He came up
Yeah.
as he worked for a living before he went to college.
and I say, good on Tom Tillis for
There's a video
having the
out.
courage to say it.
I'll
He's like,
put
"Oh,
the link
yeah.
on our page. Someone sent it to me. Thank you very much. But yeah, I'll have to watch that
because he was
I've not
asking the
seen
committee. It was some kind of whatever. He's like, who do I have to choke out? Like, good on you, buddy.
That's
I'm
pretty
with you.
much the way.
But that makes me good to know that he is.
He's probably so
He's in
sad
our
right
shoes.
now.
He's-
And
yeah.
he should not have to be in our shoes. He should be way above us. But
But he
See,
gets it.
when the senators and the House are not being told, they don't understand it any more than we do. Our elected officials
Right.
don't understand it. Then there's
There.
a disconnect between the legislatures and our
Well,
administration.
then it makes me wonder if a senator, a U.S. senator, doesn't know the plan and he's on all these
There's a
super
disconnect.
top secret committees. That's a problem. You're right. And who does know the plan?
Now, for the
Not me.
public, for the general public out there, have you ever heard of the Rasmussen reports? Do you read those?
I know what they are.
I used
It's
to
a,
really
it's a
read them,
polling
yeah.
company.
I didn't even know they still did them.
Oh yeah, it's a polling company started back in 2003. A guy named Scott Rasmussen.
Right.
He's earned a good deal of respect as far as polling companies are concerned. Concentrates on hot political issues of the day and writes articles about the results of the polls that he conducts. This is not an unusual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, the polling companies don't write summations too much. They'll do a little bit, but they don't get into the business. They leave that up to the media or whoever to interpret it any way they want. Rasmussen goes a little bit above and beyond, in my opinion. At one time, both newspapers and television networks, sometimes even local TV stations, we hired pollsters.
Mm-hmm.
There are some cheap ones out there. There are some great ones out there. We always hired, we periodically hired one when I was in Wilmington to do a poll on some significant issue that was bugging the crap out of people.
Mm-hmm.
We conducted what is called opinion polls. It's a glimpse, it's a capture of a very split moment in time. That split moment in time is when I say, Kelly, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
That's a split moment in time. In an hour, you might not think the same thing about the way you answer. So that's why it is a capture of a split second in time in some cases. It was an effort in Rasmussen's case to find out how people were thinking on various issues. And local polling was as important for ratings for TV as the ratings are for TV stations when we used to do them, because we knew what people were thinking by the way they were, by who they were watching,
Right.
and what we were doing and what they thought about the way we were doing things. But then polls showed what their real true feelings were about specific issues. I said earlier, I interviewed Scott Rasmussen here about 8 or 10 years ago on the air. He seems to be a pretty straight up guy, stand up guy. I like him. I like talking with him. I don't have any problems with the methods that his company uses. He explained those to me. Other companies, some of them use strange methods, strange ways they pose their questions. Isn't it true, Kelly, that you just do not like Democrats? Yes or no? Well, it's
No,
hard to
not
answer
true.
that question. It's a stupid question.
Right. It is
But
a question, but
They
it's
will
not true.
ask Republicans,
Mhm.
isn't it true, Kelly, that you don't like Democrats? The hardcore Republicans
Mhm.
are going to say, yeah, that's true. And that's the results that they're going to broadcast. That's what they're going to report.
Exactly.
See, that's
poster,
wrong.
bad
Yeah,
polling.
that is very
But those
bad.
are the
Yeah.
ones that Scott Rasmussen polls, to me, are
That's what they do.
much more what they're supposed to be, the way it's supposed to be done. In most cases, the cross section that pollsters do a cross section of people, right? And depends upon what they are. They will almost always come out and say, voters who are most likely to vote in an upcoming, whatever the election is, are the ones that they will talk with.
Mhm.
They don't talk to Joe Bubba, who's never voted in his life. Does he have an opinion? Yeah. But the thing is, is that opinion going to have any influence on the outcome of an election
Makes sense.
if he doesn't vote?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. They don't care what you think when they're trying to figure out how the upcoming election is going to turn out. So if you want to be interviewed, you better become a registered voter.
Mhm.
Okay, you don't want to be interviewed? You don't care what outcome? Then don't come complaining about the outcome of an election if you don't vote.
I agree with that.
Okay, so that's just the way it is. I know
And
gotta
you
go.
know what? We see that so
We do.
often.
Some polls,
So
unfortunately, look at like-minded voters.
I don't get polled.
They look at voters in big cities, for instance. Often big cities where the people in those cities lean to the extreme right or to the extreme left.
Right.
Unless the questions have possible answers that fit the agenda of the right or the left, you're generally going to get a more accurate cross section of the people if you find places there where the normal people are, where you're going to find people lean left and they lean right or they lean down the middle. In Onslow County, for instance, right now, the middle is going to be among the independent voters here, right?
Yeah, yes.
As professional
Yes.
pollsters, they use the same science that the folks who help attorneys pick jurors use. That's what pollsters are supposed to be doing. They're looking to write questions based upon that.
Right.
Trump's tariff policy sparks controversy. We've been discussing that.
Yes, it does.
We know all about it.
Yes.
After almost 3 months in office, he's been there. It looks like it's become a topic that's not as political party leaning as you might think.
True.
Because voters and non-voters alike, Republicans and Democrats alike, you would think that the implementation of Trump's political campaign promises isn't setting so well by looking at all the comments. If you pay attention only to the mainstream media and to the anti-Trump ratings of social media pundits, that's what you would think. But it appears the tariffs, as proposed, may be making more voters happy than we've been led to believe.
I've heard that too.
The latest Rasmussen Reports National Telephone and Online Survey finds that 45% of that phrase, likely U.S. voters, that's what we're talking about, say the government does not do enough to protect the U.S. manufacturers and businesses from foreign competition. 17% think the government protects American businesses too much. 45 wants more protection. 17% thinks we're providing American businesses too much protection. Last month, 30 days earlier, in March, that same survey, instead of 45%, 33% of likely voters thought the tariffs were needed and, in fact, should be increased. 25% think the current level of protection against foreign competition is about right. 14% are not so sure.
That's Robin.
Interesting to note that these findings are virtually the same as they were in 2018, 7 years ago. So why does it seem so many people are up in arms that Trump is actually doing something about their complaints? Maybe back in 2018 and even earlier this year, having presidents make promises to do something about deficit trading with other countries, promising to secure the border every time a camera was aimed in their direction, excited people, even a majority of them, causing them to vote. But since no one really ever did anything about either issue once they were in office, it was no big deal when no ones did nothing. Then comes Trump. He's doing what he said he was going to do. And people, Republicans and Democrats, some of them, Democrats, most of them, Republicans, a big chunk of them, are having a hissy fit. Oh my God, the world is coming to an end. Robin, where do you stand?
Yeah, as listening to it, then the tariffs has been a thing that's been on my mind. And first of all, I'm a Republican, so I think, I support Trump. I voted for Trump. I think he's doing a great job. I think a lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now in society is a knee-jerk reaction because he's doing something. He's actually doing something. He's accomplished more in 3 months than the last president has in 4 years. So there's a little bit of a sticker shock. And when you talk about sticker shock, one of the things that you got to be careful with tariffs is, okay, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was 2 other instances in U.S. history where tariffs were imposed pretty harshly.
Yes.
And I think both of them led to a recession. And one led to the Great Depression.
Right.
And so now, the old adage is 3 is the charm. I'm not really sure about that because I can tell you from a personal standpoint, in the car industry business, it's really going to affect us now. If there's a caveat that doesn't include automobiles or anything like that, that's one thing. But a lot of the parts that, he's proposing tariffs on, like aluminum, for example. Like I know a lot of the Ford trucks are made from aluminum, like the F-150, things of that stuff. And a lot of our cars are put together, the transmission assembly points in Mexico and then Ontario, Canada. We even got some as far away as South Korea. Some of the parts come from South Korea. So, we're nervous because you look at the tariffs, a $40,000 car, if the tariffs take effect and it causes this big price increase, you're looking at about a 15 to 20% jump in the prices of cars pretty easily. You're looking at cars that, could be $40,000, may jump up to $51,000 or something like that to compensate for the tariff. So I'm not an expert. I've been watching the tariffs and listening and doing my reading on the tariffs to see, how it may or may not work. But I'm not skeptical about it, but I am concerned about it because, number one, no one has really sat down, like you said, on a whiteboard and said, this is how tariffs are going to affect the United States. Okay. And these tariffs are not going to be short term. They're going to be long term. It's going to take a while for these tariffs to take effect. But, I went to the gas pump 2 weeks ago and I was paying $2.69 a gallon of gas. I went the other day and I was paying $2.91. So it jumped considerably. So, I really don't know what to say about it. Is that I support Trump and I support his ideas, but I need some more information. The public needs some more information. The public needs to be briefed on how these tariffs act or what his philosophy is in terms of how these tariffs are going to affect the economy. Because,
I agree.
Some of these countries may decide to play hardball. I think it would be stupid if they did. But if they tried to play hardball with the United States and keep increasing their tariffs and this and that, and now we've got a big trade war that's ongoing, and that's kind of scary to me because it can disrupt a lot of things, if you know what I'm saying.
If it wasn't so much almost across the board. Now, every country is not going to be facing that because we do fairly decent exchanges in a lot of countries. We're not equal in any country that I know of. The deals that we make with them, they pay a 5% tariff, and it may cost us 25% or 10% or whatever. So it's not exactly equal. But when we're dealing with a country, China, that charges a big chunk of change for any American automobile going into that country, and then we haven't been charging them a like percentage on the products that we have to go into your cars that you're selling or to whatever, that we have to have those products because we don't make them in this country. China could get away without importing luxury automobiles from this country. They got other sources for them. What's the other source for those chips? That's where we have made a mistake in this country by allowing ourselves to get held up by a single point of failure. Let's just suppose that Russia decides, I don't like China anymore, and they drop a nuke on them. Okay? Let's just suppose that. Where is that going to leave us?
Well,
Russia just killed us.
What really bothers me and why I'm skeptical, I shouldn't say skeptical, I'm concerned about the tariffs and the trade war. I mean, if you look around the country, and I heard something the other day, they were talking about it. I think it was on Fox News. One of the commentators made a comment, and he's right. When you do some research into it, we're in a $50 billion trade deficit with Japan.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the trade deficit with South Korea is $30 billion. And from an American standpoint, it's unfair that they would have such a trade deficit with these two countries when we, the United States, not anybody else, we, the United States, are present in Japan and we're present in Korea. We got over 30,000 troops in South Korea. And I know that firsthand because I lived there and I lived in Japan for 15 years. And we've got troops there. We got headquarters, an army detachment or an army presence in Tokyo, Japan at Camp Zama. I went to high school there. We got headquarters, 8th Armies in South Korea. You got the 2nd Infantry Division that's in Camp Red Cloud. So, we've got a lot of troops. We've got a lot of Air Force bases. You've got Kunsan, Suwon. You've got Gwangju. There are several Air Force bases there, and we've got over 30,000 of our American servicemen and women there. And we have such a trade deficit. those two countries, in my personal opinion, should waive that trade deficit because we're providing protection. So I understand where Trump's coming from, and it's a really complicated mess that we're in right now. And all I'm saying is that I hope, what he's doing as far as the tariffs are concerned, it's a good idea in concept. Tariffs can be a means of paying for our taxes and et cetera in this country, get rid of income tax. I'd be one all for that, but you got to be very careful on how he manipulates this. Now, I don't know if he's doing some political gaming, or he's leaning forward really hard. I just don't know, and I don't have an opinion on it because I'm not educated enough to know the ins and outs of the tariffs and what they can and can't do to this economy. And I wish the White House would come out with some type of formula, some type of briefing to explain to the American citizen, the average layperson out there, and put it in terms that we understand what's going to happen if we do this and what it's going to affect. So, I'm up in the air about it right now.
So am I.
And I'm not. But I do applaud our own reporters that are questioning the method, and they're questioning what the plan is, what the is. Put it on paper. Let us all see, what it's all about and how you're trying to affect this, because it's confusing to me. That's all I got to say. But just,
I agree 100%.
Totally agree. And once they lay it out there, it might make all of the sense in the world, or it may convince me to say, well, wait a minute, Mr. POTUS. Get your head out, the cranium area, and let's just do something else here.
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen one of two ways. Either it's going to be a great success, and we're going to reap the benefits of it as the United States, which I hope we do.
I hope we do.
Or it's going to be complete, or it's going to be a complete failure, and it's going to lead us to a recession, which can ultimately lead to another depression. And that's what scares me. We've got people right now that are concerned about the economy and their future. They're not concerned about presently now, where their next paycheck comes from. They're looking down the road as far as their investments are. Are these investments going to go away?
Yeah.
Or is it going to cost 10 times more in the next 3 or 4 years? Only time will tell. So I'm praying for the best, but like I said, I'm confused. It's a difficult situation, and just got to keep your eyes open and your ears attuned to what's going on around you.
I agree, and that's
Totally agree.
I am not arguing with anybody, whoever you are. If you want to call and argue, I am not arguing.
I don't have anything to argue about.
I have nothing to argue about. I agree 100%.
Okay, you've got economists out there that professional economists, people they got master's degree, doctorate degrees in economics and whatever, and they're both. These individuals are arguing amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. And these are the experts, so-called experts, saying, well, this is going to work, or, well, we shouldn't do this, it's going to lead to this recession, or it's going to be a great time for the United States. Nobody knows until this, because we can't predict the actions of other countries.
Nope.
We
can try, but we failed with Japan in 1941, 42.
Sure.
But I'm going to tell you something. The Chinese, they're sitting back right now, in my personal opinion, and again, I go with my uncle. My uncle, he's South Korean. He never trusted the Chinese government whatsoever. But he told me. I remember. He told me way back when, as a kid, I was about 9 or 10 years old, and he told me. He said, "Be very careful of the Chinese government because they're not what they seem to be." And so I don't know how to take that, but based on my studies and interaction with people like that and world events, we got to be very, very cautious because, like I said, we can't predict what China's going to do, Russia's going to do, Canada. Mexico, we just don't know. And it could backfire or it could be the greatest thing. So that's my take on it.
We in this country, unfortunately, we live under the 4-year plan. Whoever the president is, we live under the 4-year plan. China lives under they've got stages. We have oh my God, if we have a 5-year plan of action, even with the county commissioners that you're on, if we got a 5-year plan of action, that's okay, but that ain't far enough. How about a 10-year plan? Yeah, we got a 10-year plan out there too. Do we have a 50-year plan? China does. China's got a 100-year plan.
I tell you right now, one of the most resilient and most patient people in the world, and history can back me up on this, are the Chinese. And You're right. They don't think in 10-year or 5-year increments. They think in generational increments.
Yep.
That's how far down the road that they view things. and they're patiently waiting. It's just like in the United States. Have you noticed the surge of all the Chinese-made products in the last 20 years? that have come in the United States?
Betcha.
We talk about that all the time.
They cut.
Well, you talk about all these companies, these Chinese companies that are buying lands and companies within the borders of the United States.
Uh-huh.
This wasn't a short-term project. It was a long-term project, and we're talking 20, 30, 40 years ago.
And
Basically, China used to be viewed like Japan did right after the war with their products. If it was made in Japan, it meant it was
junk.
It was garbage. But now, and you've got look at things that we see on everyday life. Temu is a Chinese company, Chinese app. Okay, they're involved, and so many Americans are using Temu to buy cheaper products, cheaper than you can at Amazon.
You're talking about Temu?
And so,
yep.
Yes.
Temu or Temu,
Yes.
whatever you want
Gotcha.
to call it. And there's another one out there called
Sheen.
called Shine
Yeah.
or Sheen.
I don't
And
know
so,
either way,
you know,
Rob.
this is all long-term planning by the Chinese,
Right.
And we don't know what their plan is. So, anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, and we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll find out the results here soon enough.
Yep. Sooner or later,
Yeah,
we'll know.
good points.
Thank
good
you, Robin.
points. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. Okay. Weather-wise, it's offshore, looking okay, but you got to have the experience, and you need the right boat for a day or two anyway. You can't just go running out there real willy-nilly right now, because while it's okay for the bigger guys, and I'm not talking about 60 or 70 footers, I'm just talking about seaworthy boats, it ain't okay for everybody, right? So don't get excited about it. Some fine fish are out there, but they're just getting started. The bonita, of course, is generally a short run, but the mackerel will be with us in growing numbers in the coming weeks. So don't get too excited about running out offshore too much right now. But if you can, you got the right boat and you got the right condition, and you feel good about it, and you've got the experience, don't buy the boat today and go fishing tomorrow. You may have a problem. But today, out to 20 nautical miles, northeasterly winds 15 to 20, going to be gusty up to 25 knots. Those gusts are what will get you. Seas still choppy, sloppy, in fact, 4 to 6 footers. Near shore, 2 to 4. That doesn't mean the inlet's going to be nice trying to get out there to some fairly calm water. But if your boat's good enough and you've got the experience, you can get out there. 4-foot waves coming from the northeast every 4 seconds. Sounds and rivers are choppy. 4-foot waves close together, that 4 seconds apart, that's kind of big bouncy. All right. Tomorrow, easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 every 7 seconds. Did you understand? There's smaller waves, and they're going to be every 7 seconds, almost double what they are today. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 on Friday, seas 3 to 4 feet every 7 seconds. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
Today, sunny with a high near 65. East winds 7 to 11 miles per hour with gusts as high as 17. Tonight, clear with a low around 43. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high near 71. And Friday, a 70% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a high near 70.
And right now in our backyard, it's 42 degrees out here in the studio, out there near the woods, and at the airport, it's 44 degrees at the airport in Jacksonville. So
I do want to throw out a congratulations to all of us living in the city of Jacksonville.
why?
City of Jacksonville has been named one of 20 finalists
Yay.
for the 2025 All-America City Award from the National Civic League.
Okay.
The National Civic League honors 10 outstanding communities in the United States each year, celebrating excellence in local innovation, civic engagement, and cross-sector collaboration. And that's Steve calling us.
Good morning,
Congratulations.
Steve-O. How are you?
Hey, good morning. A little chilly this morning.
No, it's cold. It's wintertime.
It felt good.
Compared to 90
yeah.
degrees on Friday at
I liked
40,
it.
42 out there right now, it's cold.
Yep. I brought the plants in last night.
So did I.
Kept them nice and warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't look like there was no frost though. So there.
No,
That was good.
Yeah, I think it was more
we
inland,
escaped
yeah.
that. Escaped that. That was a little further inland.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. But I
Yeah,
brought him in anyway, just to cuddle with him a little while.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. I was worried about all the flowering bushes outside in the yard that I couldn't do nothing for them.
No,
Yes, you're
So I was
right.
glad they made it through.
Right.
I am too, because last year we got a couple of persimmon trees, and the one in the backyard survived because it was a little warmer back there. But the one in the front yard, the tree was okay, but all the stuff on it died off. The blossoms came
Yeah.
on early, and then we had a cold snap, and it all went away. And dadgummit, didn't get any. I got this big old nice
All my
persimmons.
I was gonna say all my azaleas last year, it burned all the blossoms. Every one of them had
Oh, really?
brown flowers on them last year.
Oh,
Ouch.
wow.
That's a new color for azaleas.
Yeah.
Not very pretty. Okay, what's up?
I was listening to a little bit of commentary there, and I know with everything going on, sometimes it's easy to forget about things and just happened recently. And when I mean recently, in the last few years, you were talking about the chips and how we don't make them here. A couple years ago, we passed the Chips Act, and I don't know if you remember, but immediately we had investors from other countries were coming through here. They actually came through North Carolina looking at building factories here.
Really? I don't remember that
Yeah.
part.
And that happened like within a matter of months after they signed that Chips Act.
Mhm.
And so I would, I feel like that's a point worth making, is that that's another way that we've done brought manufacturing back to the United States, and it wasn't disruptive. So there is a path to bring manufacturing back to the United States and do it in a fairly appears quick way without being this disruptive, without being a bully.
Are they having, or do we have any chip companies in North Carolina now? I don't know. Where are these
I do
companies?
know that there was like $1 billion investment is what the pledge was. And I remember during that time, Biden came through North Carolina with the manufacturers, and they were looking at places right around North Carolina that they may build factories. I can go back and pull the story for you and get the particulars for it, but that was the gist of it.
Okay, so what is the end result? Do we have any companies building chips in North Carolina or anywhere in the country now so that we don't need the Chinese
honestly,
chips?
Honestly, I would have to follow up on that. But being that the CHIPS Act was providing funding and incentives for it, I would assume that there is still making progress because people want that, that benefit that act was going to bring to them.
Because
it was going to be beneficial for them.
When was that? When was that act passed?
I would have to go back to get you an exact date, man. I don't want to misquote, but I'm going to say it was in the 2022. Right around that time when they were passing those, right before the Republicans took back over the House.
Okay, so I don't recall any big announcements of any chip companies coming to North Carolina. I don't.
There was.
No, I know.
Did
they come? I know they talked about coming.
I don't know that they.
So I'm looking for the end. I want the end result here. Do we have any chip companies?
I get that. I seriously doubt it got scrapped or that it fell apart because of the incentives that the Congress had put in there for these companies to come here. They bit really quick on that bait when that bill was signed.
They made commitments. Yeah, they made pledges and stuff, right?
They did because it was enticing. That there's a way to bring business here without destroying the economy. But anyway, I'll get the particulars on that if you want to know, or you can just Google it. I'm sure there's plenty of commentary out there on it. It was a pretty big story at the time.
Okay, look, Arizona, Texas, Samsung and Texas Instruments in Texas. New York has got Micron and Global Foundries, and Ohio has got Intel. I don't see anything about North Carolina whatsoever. So,
I wouldn't think that we actually have a functioning factory yet. Once again, that's not something that happens.
Yeah,
in a short time.
And apparently, all of these others were already in progress. So I don't know of any new ones. I'm looking for any new ones.
Right.
So I don't know.
But anyway, I'll get more information on that and tag you into it because I remember it specifically, or I wouldn't, quote it so firmly. But there's that, and then also even what Robin was commenting on earlier this morning, they don't seem to be very. There's no coherent plan coming out from the White House about what exactly they're doing. They depending on who you ask, you get a different story. There's actually 4 different reasons they gave for this tariffs, and the 4 reasons they give, and they can't all be true. Any one could be true, but they contradict each other, so they can't all be true. And the only thing they've produced so far is they showed us that chart that showed what other countries charge their citizens for American products, and that has been completely debunked by every news source that everything they put on there was inaccurate. Even what they showed them and the numbers they showed them don't add up to what they say it adds up to. So the only thing they put out is something that is completely fabricated.
Mm-hmm.
So it only stands to reason everybody's confused over that. And for people who support him, it's kind of coming to the end of the rope on how they can make excuses for this. It's kind of chaotic, to say the least. And with this big of a move and such a unprecedented, I guess, move on our economy, to a lot of people are going to be uncertain about that to begin with, and there's no reassurance coming from the administration that what they're doing is sound and logical.
Mm-hmm.
Even the comments from Tom Tillis, I was really pleased to hear that he has a clear head about that. He has not heard an explanation for this.
None of us have heard an explanation. That's what we're complaining about.
And I agree.
If there is a plan, I don't care what the plan is, put it up there on a board so that little old country boy me can sit there and read it. And I'll even fix your spelling if you misspell something. But if you put it up there on the board so that I can read it, and I will know, I'll have a concise, a very clear understanding of what your plan is. I will then decide whether I agree with your plan or not. Right now, I can't tell you that I agree with it or don't agree with it. The only thing I can tell you is that I disagree with not knowing about it. How's that?
Yeah. And I'll give you that. And can we go one step further and say if they
I don't know about we.
Wait.
Don't ask me if we can. You can.
Let me just finish. So can we go one step further and say that whatever they put up, the math should be accurate? It shouldn't be immediately that somebody rechecks their math and that's not accurate, no matter who puts it up, right?
Steve, not to be contradictory, but knowing you over the past period of time, I would say if they put up 2 + 2 = 4, that you will question it. Am I right about that? I'm going to put that. I'm going to turn it back on you.
You're not right.
Am I right about you on that? Because that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of question you asked me. Am I right about you on that?
No, it's not. I'm just saying that whatever they put up, that it should be, the math should work out. They shouldn't be that the media grabs a hold of it and immediately destroys it and debunks it as inaccurate. Shouldn't they anticipate that it's going to be scrutinized before they put it up there?
Steve, there are going to be ways. There are so many ways, even in algebra, which it depends upon how people insert things and where they put a parentheses and where they put the pluses and the minuses in an equation. You know that. It depends upon what order.
I'm pretty familiar with that.
It depends upon what, so am I. It depends upon what order that you put stuff in as to how people will interpret it. Now, you can put the same formula out there with the same figures in it with so many people, and they will not understand how to add and subtract, to be honest with you, and in what order it must be done. That is the media for that is the media for you. I'm not saying it's you. It's the media for you. We will get it from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, different, and CNN and MSNBC. We will get it differently from all 5, 6.
Steve, do you have a pet?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a pet?
Do I have a pet?
Yes.
Like a dog?
Yes. You need to get a little cuddly puppy that you can just divert all your attention to.
Yeah.
Get away
I get
from
you.
politics.
Okay, that's a very intelligent statement to make there, Lee. I expect no more from you. You're smarter than that.
Oh.
And Rayford, what you say, yeah, there's people who look at mathematical equations and don't understand the order of operations and they get it wrong. But then somebody who does understand the order of operations can look at that equation and say, you got that wrong because you didn't do this.
Yep.
And when they put something out that people who do know how to math can look at it and say, you did not do that right. That is not the right order of operations. Or this number does not even come close to what the actual answer is. You know, they are people who do know how to math. And
I understand
if somebody who thinks 2 + 2 is not 4, that's not logical.
Steve,
So you're not going to get that from me.
Steve,
Okay.
here's the thing. You and I will look at it differently than a lot of other folks who will only take the word of those 5 or 6 or 7 news outlets. Those are the masses out there.
Right. It goes deeper than that, my friend. They've actually asked the White House who came up with these numbers, and they won't tell them. Nobody will take responsibility because they know it don't add up.
Okay.
And so, I mean, they come to them with the question, hey, your numbers don't add up. Who done this? And they're like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're making fabrications, guys. They're lying.
Okay.
And I get that that's hard to swallow. But they're trying to make it sound worse than it is because it's what they want to do.
I take Nexium. I can swallow anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Y'all come around a little bit because I mean, y'all wanting to know, wanting some answers instead of just giving them more rope. That's a good sign.
I've always asked questions. That's what
there's times you've asked questions and times you've given them more rope, and I can understand both of them. I've done the same thing for both sides of the aisle. I've given them rope when I shouldn't have.
I will give people the benefit of the doubt until I'm proven otherwise. I mean, it's just kind of like Steve. It's kind of like in law, when you go to court, I have to believe everything that the witness is saying under oath until I'm able to prove that witness is a liar. Once I prove the witness is a liar, then he's a liar, bottom line. But otherwise, all of that stuff that a witness says in court is called evidence, period, bottom line. It doesn't say whether you believe him or not. If he's lying, then you don't believe him. But if it's not proven that he's lying, then that evidence that testimony he's presenting is called evidence. It's the fact. So until I can see, I have to trust somebody I've elected or we've elected, the country has elected to be the president or anybody else in a high position like that we have selected. We're supposed to believe them until we find something that they're telling us is not true or is just wrong information. That's what I'm looking at. I'm just not going to discount everything that they tell me because I think they're lying.
Well, and this let's just say this is my opinion because it is a guess at some point, but you've got an administration drastic move. They've come out with 3 or 4 different reasons, depending on who you ask, what they're doing. The only actual documentation they provided has been proven to be non-factual. I've seen you be extremely critical of the left for far less. It seems like you're extending a little bit more rope to the people that you voted for than you do to the ones you don't
know who I voted for, do you?
Well, it appears, and I said it's opinion. So, I mean, once again, I can have an opinion about who I think you voted for. It don't mean I know.
That doesn't mean it's factual.
Don't mean factual, and I didn't say it was. But from the appearance, And I understand that, man. I would, the person I support, I would probably give them a little bit more rope than the person I didn't support. That's human nature. I don't fault you there. But it does exist.
It appears in your mind that it exists.
It appears. Yeah.
Okay.
It exists in human nature. Now, whether it's true about you or not, that's my opinion, and I can't say it's
Okay.
fact.
All right.
I don't know yet. But it does exist in human nature to be that way, to be biased towards the person you support. Yeah. But anyway, we could talk about things like that all day.
Yep, and we got to go.
Yep. I hope y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you.
And the sun shines bright on you.
I hope so. It's going to be that way. It's time to plant, and I got to get her done. So
Well, I'm just happy to know, Rayford, that we're coming around.
we're coming around to what?
Steve said we're coming around.
Oh, we're coming around to being. That's what we're doing.
I said it was a positive sign.
Okay.
I said it was a positive sign.
All right.
Yeah.
You take care, sir. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Well, there's our cousin Jennifer. You know she's going to call.
Jennifer. There's got to be a song about Jenny. Jenny, Jennifer, Jen. Jen. What kind of song do we know about Jennifer?
I can't hear y'all.
You can't hear me?
Ooh. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
she can't hear me to the point that she hung up on me.
Yeah, I just lost.
Let's see if she can. Let's see if she can hear me
I
now.
got you now.
What in the world
I could hear
happened?
you. I don't know. I could hear you coming from Terry's phone,
That doesn't
but
count.
I couldn't. All I could hear was static on my end. It was just,
Static.
yeah, just not really static, just like a, it was just dead, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But, as long as we can hear each other now,
Huh?
I was
What'd you say?
don't you start that. Don't
Oh,
you
gosh.
start that. Don't you even. So I want to call with one serious thing,
Uh-oh.
and then I'm going to give you a funny story because everybody
Okay.
needs a good laugh.
I do.
So my serious thing is, I know I mentioned the other day about the protesters downtown.
Uh-huh.
And I went downtown yesterday, personally talked to two different shop owners, two different shops, and about it because I wanted to get, feedback. They lost thousands of dollars Saturday.
Mm.
More than, now one of those shop owners stayed open. The other one ended up closing because she had a teenage boy working that day, and she said that she honestly did not feel comfortable.
Oh, really?
Now he's 19, but she said, I'm responsible for him. He's my employee.
Sure.
I didn't feel comfortable with him being here. And then, of course, this is just one of the shop owners telling me about another one that I didn't personally talk to, but that they had said that they just closed up. That there was no reason, but those protests that everybody said, oh, they didn't harm anybody. Well, they harmed the small local business.
Uh-huh.
They ended up having to shut their doors or stayed open just to watch no foot traffic on the sidewalks as far as shoppers, but just protesters. So that is my serious thing. And then I was reminded of something when y'all were talking about the funerals
Okay.
and the caskets and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Terry and I got married in 87. Let's see here. Corey was born in 88. This was 89. So Corey was born in August of 88, and this was like May of 89. So he was still very much just an infant. And my mama died.
Oh, okay.
So
we drove. We didn't find out until that night. The funeral was going to be the next day. My dad was the type. This was my mom's mother, and my dad was the type. Well, I tried to call it. You know, there's nothing they can do. That was just my dad. Well, anywho, we drove all night and got up here the next day. Terry got him just a little small power nap, and we left to go to the funeral. Now, my mama's funeral was at a little country church in, let's say, the higher elevations. You climb pretty on good up there, or where. Now, she lived here in Kingsport, but that's where the family cemetery was. So help me, Jesus, and you can Google it. The name of the town is Stickleyville, Virginia. So we get those Stickleyville.
I saw that on the
Really?
map last week when they were doing the tornadoes, and I was like, "What?"
Yep.
Kind of a sick place to be going.
Stickleyville, Virginia. So anywho, we get over there. Now my husband, God love him, he hadn't met but just a few of my family. So he did not know these people at all. We are talking Primitive Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Up in the Appalachian Mountains.
Well, I know all
with
about
my
those.
mama laying there in an open casket with a net over.
Yeah.
Three little preachers.
It used to be done.
Oh, yeah. And we go in, and I've got Corey. Well, I knew these people. My husband did not. And we're sitting there, and Miss Simpson comes up. Corey wasn't crying or fussing or anything, but she comes up, and she taps me on the shoulder. She said, because I was visibly, upset as my mama. And she said, I'll take the baby. Well, I just handed him to her. I mean, I had known Miss Simpson all my life. Didn't think anything about it. I handed her Corey. And so little preacher gets up there, and he's preaching. And when that third one got up there, and you know how it's got like the little raised up part,
buddy.
And he had that Bible up in the air, and buddy, he jumped off of that thing, went to hooping and a holler, and I thought Terry was going to come out of his skin. he sat there. Well, after it was over with, he looked at me, and he said in private, and he said, I didn't know what was happening. He said, that lady come up there and took Corey, got him out of harm's way. He said, I thought they was getting ready to drag out the snake.
Okay.
And I looked at my husband in all seriousness, and I said, honey, never at a funeral. And he looked at me like, what? And of course I was just teasing. Never been to a church where they handle snakes, but I let him believe that I had. So that is my funny funeral story for the day.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
well,
so,
I
dragging out the snake.
I just always wasn't one of those comedians that said he always wanted to be a ventriloquist at a funeral.
No, that's not even funny. That's not even funny. Oh, gosh.
Well, it's just.
I'd be like,
hello?
Yes, God.
Yeah, hello.
And I can't help it. I put some pictures on Facebook the other day that we had gone out. We actually went out looking reef supplies, ended up going by Bristol Speedway and on up into Abingdon. And because we came up to a stop sign, and I said, well, there's Bristol. And I mean, I took a picture. It's just like right across the intersection. But we went to graveyard up in Abingdon, and I snapped a few pictures because it's interesting to me. I can prowl around in the cemetery all day long. Call me weird if you want to.
Just reading the tombstones is interesting.
And it was there was a big one that said, the Confederate dead. And that's how it was worded. And then they had a tombstone that had been placed there later on that actually had the names. There was one, you could barely read it. He had been a governor in Virginia, and you could barely make it out. And we took a picture of that. So I got a thing for it. I can't help it. I love going around looking at them.
What was the old joke about the tombstone out there in the old West way back when? Here lies Les Moore, died in the hands of a 44, no less, no more.
That's right.
Words, something like that anyway.
Get into it too much.
Just tried to end y'all on a funny note.
You know what? I always wanted to, and I started shooting some of the photos. My dad is with a camera of boat names over the years, and I wanted to put a collection together. Maybe I should start that again because boat names are kind of funny if you ever get to it. There was a wedding.
Yeah, they are.
There was a wedding that down at Irving Brown when he had Cheney Creek Marina down right there, you know where it is, in downtown Jacksonville or whatever, Marine Boulevard. He had a marina there for a while and had several boats in there, but nice yachts in there, half a dozen or so. And there was one boat where the couple was going to get married on the fantail of the boat. And the name of the boat, and I got that in the pictures with the photos that I shot with the couple. It's called the Damn Boat. Now you do know that boat was named by somebody's wife at some point in time. You're going down to where? Oh yeah, you're going down to the damn boat. But anyway, that was the name of the boat.
You saying that, I will tell you this. Now, of course, I'm in East Tennessee, and there is a lot of dams here. There's right close to us, within like 3 miles, is Fort Patrick Henry Dam. Then there's Watauga, there's Boone, and and lots of rivers and lakes and all that. But we were at my grandparents in Mississippi on vacation, and my dad had a book of matches. You know, everybody, advertising this and that and the other. And he had this book of matches and didn't think anything in there. And it said, it was advertising, and it said the best damned valley in the world or in the country or whatever. And my grandmother liked to have come unglued. You know, she was, how can you have that? Blah, blah, blah. And Daddy was like, Mom, it's the dams, the dams on that one.
Right.
But, it was TVA, it was the best damned valley in
there you go.
the country, the world, whatever. So, anywho, y'all have a great day.
Thank you. Always a breath of fresh air. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okie dokie. Tomorrow is Thursday. It will be Miller time at some point in time, whatever time Miller wants to call. How's that?
That's
Miller
right.
time.
He gets
Chris
choice.
Miller will be ringing us up tomorrow morning. We're also going to be talking about plants tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. A lady here, a master gardener. So y'all need to stand up and pay attention. You need to get dressed for the occasion tomorrow morning. And when you're listening, so you can listen to this young lady talk about being a master gardener, because there's a big plant sale coming up and there's no pot involved.
Very good. Very good.
There's a plant sale coming up right here in Onslow County, and it's going to be in a couple of weeks. So y'all need to get your mess together, a little over a week, and
I can't wait.
She'll tell you all about it. What kind of plants she's going to have, I hope she'll
great, because it'll be time to start planting.
It's time.
Yes,
yep,
it's
time. So Carol Town will be joining us tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that'd be very nice.
And she's kind of a ham, too, about the whole thing.
Oh, here we go. Ham radio.
Oh, she is. She's a ham radio.
Real quick, we were talking earlier about the incident where the pallbearers and the casket fell into the open grave site. I put that link on in our comments today for anybody who wants to watch it.
Sad situation, but it can be
The thing
Hilarious.
that I was talking about that they put down in the earth before the casket is the vault. I could not
Yes, the
think
vault.
the burial vault.
Yep.
I wrote that down because it popped into my head. Yeah, it's the vault. So I just wanted to add that. Other than that, everyone enjoy their day. It's gonna
Have
be
a
beautiful
great
day.
rest of your day. It's going to be pretty.
Yep.
May have a little wind, but not like what we've had. And we're
Yes.
headed now for real, honest to goodness,
Right.
April weather. So maybe things will just kind of calm down and we get over this horrendous possibilities of this or possibilities of that. We just have, you know, what's good about the summertime? The daily
it?
occurrence or the daily forecast of a chance of afternoon and evening showers or thunder showers. That's all they will say. There's a
Yes,
chance.
There's a chance.
There's a
always
chance.
a chance.
Yeah, but beginning in
sea breeze
May,
comes up.
beginning in May to the end of September, there's a chance
That's
of
right.
an afternoon or evening shower or thunder shower. That's what they will say. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and you're live and local. We're always awake and never woke. Bye.
Amen.
1, 2.